Hi, I'm John Scott, and today I'm going to be talking about radial learning, a simple, flexible way to organize online and blended course experiences to make them more collaborative and interactive for students. As an instructor, I get really excited when I see my students come together in forming a critical learning community. When they're sharing and curating and discussing artifacts, when they're creating artifacts or co-creating them together, students are doing more than just mastering the content of your course. They're developing the habits and the skills to become lifelong learners and better preparing them for 21st century workplaces. So how does radial learning work? Radial learning is organized across 5 activity phases. Those phases include inspire, explore, connect, remix, and reflect. During the inspire phase, students get introduced to the topics or themes of a unit. To make this more of an active process, we ask our students to curate content from the web or share a photograph or an image that has personal significance to them. It invites students to bring their own voice into the learning, at the same time introduces them to this topic. It can also provide instructors some really key insight into the kinds of pre-knowledge students are bringing with them into the unit. We use the asset library in Suite C as a really easy space for students to curate, tag, share, and discuss media, a really great way to activate a lot of the media literacy competencies students need to be effective digital learners. During the Explore phase, students begin interacting with the instructional content of the unit or the module, like reading a PDF or watching a video. We try to organize all this instructional content into short, digestible bites so that students are constantly interacting and engaging with that media as they move from one content item to the next. We use the asset library to tag and store all of this media, allowing for students to always pose questions and engage in discussion around those artifacts, at the same time explore and discover supplemental artifacts organized in course hashtags. With the radial learning approach, students are connecting with each other all the time. But during the connect phase, students are getting the opportunity to deepen those connections as well as make connections between course ideas or concepts. The discussion forum has been one popular tool for students to connect and engage in critical discourse. In our courses, we're using the Suite C whiteboards as a real-time brainstorming space where students can chat with each other around course resources, use simple editing tools like shapes or freehand drawing to concept map and explore those ideas in depth. During the remix phase, students work together or individually to create multimedia artifacts to represent these key ideas and understandings. Using the Suite C whiteboards tool makes it really easy for students to revisit course content from across the unit or across a week and synthesize, compare, mind map those ideas, that content in an interactive dynamic space. Once they're finished with their creations, they can publish their whiteboards back into our asset library where instructors can provide feedback and assessment, as well as peers can interact and engage with those artifacts in expanding their understandings. And finally, we reach the reflection phase, a time for students to revisit their learning over the unit or the module, address any kind of lingering questions or uncertainties about the learning objectives, as well as to think more metacognitively about their own participation in the community. Using our engagement index and impact studio, students get deep insight into their own participation and social learning in the community. This prompts the kind of metacognitive activity that can help learners become more efficient, more effective learners, both within the course and in the future. And that completes the 5 phases of the radial learning activity arc: inspire, explore, connect, remix, and reflect. Across all of that student activity, instructors gain rich insight into student learning and student progress. As instructors design future modules or units, they can ask students to look back at previous activities, to revisit content that they made or curated earlier in the course. If you have any more questions about radial learning or about how we're using Suite C to activate the radial learning method, you can learn more at the link below.